Welcome to Hellfire Creative Podcast. Today we have local actor, producer, director, everything really, aren't you? Darren Kent.
Nice to be here. Thank you guys for having me. Honestly, it's a pleasure. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know, which would be rare because most people listen because you're on it, because that's the same with most guests that we've had. We've got listeners from the guests, not from people listening to our podcast. Okay. But if you want to introduce yourself to people that haven't heard of you.
Okay, so I'm a local Essex and London lad. I am known probably more for my acting. I've starred in a few things like Game of Thrones and EastEnders and a few bits. But I am a producer, a director, a writer. When I'm not getting paid to do what I love, I create my own work by writing something, grabbing some local guys, beg, borrow and steal, and then next minute I'm going to a festival to look at one of my movies. So I'm a doer, I'm proactive, but I also probably am one of them people that would wind you up because I'm always dragging you on a film set to hold a boom pole or do something.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Sounds good. I mean, I've seen you I've seen your episode of Game of Thrones, but last night I was like, I need to do some research, proper research. So I watched Blood Drive for the first 3 episodes. It's the most amazing.
I loved it.
It's so good. I could imagine it being so much fun to make.
It was one of the best projects I've been involved in.
Yeah.
Probably one of my biggest series.
Yeah.
I was a series lead in that. And they had money. Yeah. Like, it was high production.
Loads of money. And
although it's sci-fi, it's very grindhouse, but they take the mick out of the genre. So although it's grindhouse, they don't care if they offend you. So they want a reaction. And they have fun with it. And we shot it in South Africa. Yeah. So I was in Cape Town for 6 months. So I'm in a setting with gorgeous weather, amazing people. Everyone's happy as well. They're Africans. They're so happy. And obviously doing a show that I love in a country that's phenomenal. And yeah, it's just what an experience.
It's insane as well. If you haven't watched it, listeners, you haven't watched it yet, have you?
I haven't watched it yet, but it's got a massive cult following, hasn't it?
It's a bit crazy. It's a bit Mad Max. It's Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
It's fast cars. Cars are run on human blood. Yeah. So you just see a body being wedged into an engine, being chopped up and topped with fuel.
And it just looks bonkers. Amazing. It's been shot so well. It's like it's got all the tropes of Grindhouse, but also this little spin of like modern, like it looks modern as well. And the acting's brilliant. I was ready for it to be shit. I'm honest. I was ready for it to be shit. Because
don't blame you.
Because you go, like, it's called Blood Drive. It's about cars that run on human blood. Yeah. This is going to be mental. Yeah. And I watched it and I was hooked, like instantly hooked. I don't normally get like that excited about something like that. And I was like, this is amazing.
The characters are really good as well.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's brilliant in it. Yeah.
I mean, Slink. Colin Cunningham, who plays Slink, what a character.
That is brilliant. Yeah, like I said, I've seen 3 episodes and he's amazing.
He is, and he only gets better and better.
Yeah.
It is so well. I mean, the show is nuts.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm not into sci-fi. I wouldn't normally watch a show like that. Yeah. But as you say, because it's high production value, and the characters are quite odd but relatable, and it's well written. There's a lot of comedic moments, and it's I'd say for anyone who hasn't seen it, whether you like sci-fi or not, whether you like Mad Max or any of them weird stuff, give it a go.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to line it up, definitely.
You should. Yeah. It's a good one.
It's right up my street as well.
It is. But yeah, it's like the story's great. And like, because we were talking about this the other day. I've edited a feature about 4 years ago. And I was telling him how bad it was. Like it was shot really well, but the script didn't make sense. The acting was terrible. And I remember I remember putting the assembly together on this edit and bringing the director up, who was the writer as well, and said it's 50 minutes long, and it doesn't make any sense. And he's like, "What do you mean doesn't make any sense?" And there's massive plot holes, and there's also bits that are just insane. And I ended up having to go with him to reshoot story and stuff, and then like someone else got involved to shoot more, and it just disappeared and never came out.
Really?
Yeah, some company brought it, and then it just disappeared. But it was crap.
Was it that
I
bad,
made him watch it. It was so bad. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things.
What was your experience like out in Cape Town then? Did you
It was the best experience. I couldn't have asked for more. I mean,
there a few productions going on out there, wasn't there?
There is loads. Yeah. Film Africa is quite a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, England, America, and India probably considered the biggest for the film industry. But Africa now has put itself on the map. They did Black Sails over there. I can't even think a bit of Vikings over there. There's a massive list of stuff now that they shoot over there. Every commercial that's to do with cars is normally shot in Cape Town. It's just cheap labour. I hate to say it because they work really hard, the guys over there. But it's cheap labour, cheap accommodation, stunning setting.
Yeah.
They never had problems with the weather. It's just too hot normally. But they work in the heat. Doesn't seem to bother them. But it was just to be around people that are so happy. Yeah, they've got hardly anything. But they are so grateful to be there. They make you feel so important. Not that we need that, but it does make the morale, it makes everything feel better. And obviously, to land a series lead character in a series, wherever you're shooting, it could be in the worst country, it's a big moment for an actor.
Yeah.
So obviously for me, it was my big moment, and I was just over the moon. Not only am I in this series, but I get to leave England for a little bit. And then what turned into was supposed to be, I think, 2 episodes they wanted the scholar for.
Yeah.
I ended up in 7, I think I'm in, maybe 7 or 8, I can't remember now. So...
Yeah, because you were in it for like a couple, like one shot, I think, in the first.
Yeah, there's a couple of little tiny
bits where
scenes.
you can't see you hanging about.
And then episode 2, I'm quite heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then... So that's what they do. I mean, they normally film the first episode or 2, see how the audience takes to a character, and if they buy into it, the writers will quickly write you or rewrite the rest of the series. So you're never guaranteed the amount that you negotiate at the beginning, because that can change depending if the audience likes you. Yeah. And luckily, my character was considered the sweetheart of the series. I mean, little do they know, if you meet me, it couldn't be far from the truth. So I blagged that very well.
I think it's brilliant, and it's like, it's crazy.
Experience.
We were... I was in Cape Town a few years ago.
Oh, really?
I just got to tell this, but so we were in a helicopter. Me and my wife got this helicopter trip sorted out, which is never been in a helicopter before. She was 6 months pregnant, and we saw a film set, and I went to the pilot. Oh, what's that over there? And he went, and Laura just threw up all over him.
No.
It was brilliant.
I'll tell you what, the helicopter, they're quite scary, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I remember getting a helicopter from a shoot in. We did a shoot in Honduras in the middle of the jungle.
Oh, nice.
For Stella, and the journey in, we were in Land Cruisers, like, so it took us like 14 hours. We ended up having to stay in this really small village on the way in, and on the way back out, the guys I was with were the DOP and the camera assistant, and they went, we're getting a helicopter out. I was like, what, do you want in? I was like, how much is it going to cost me? And they went, we'll cover you. I was like, okay, cool. And I got the helicopter out, and I was like, I remember going, we're going to die. Because it's so flimsy. You're touching the window, it sort of buckles.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is so flimsy. Yeah, it doesn't
I got a helicopter over Florida. Yeah. We was on holiday with my mum and dad and my brothers, and we just wanted to see the Disney parks from the air. Yeah. But even my little brother went, the pilot hasn't got a door. I went, where's your door? I went, they don't need a door. And then I see my brother, I went, do you want to sit in the front? He was only little, because there weren't no door on the front either. He went, no, I'm sitting in the back, because that was the only one side had a door. And I'll be honest, I thought, man up. But then I got in there, and as you say, when you turn, it's terrifying. So I'm hoping that
I don't think I'll ever get in a helicopter.
No, I don't think I want to either.
We've done it now. We've all been in helicopters.
Yeah, we've done it.
Good.
Yeah, it was never on the bucket list, but thank God I made it to tell the tale.
So I heard one story about that you wanted to be in a gangster film, but you thought you would never get cast in one, so you wrote one. Is that
That's
true?
right. Yeah, it was my first feature that I'd wrote. So it was called Abusing Protocol. And it was just about a boy who gets roped up into a world of abuse and drugs. I was a Wickford boy, so I was brought up with a lot of that around me, I guess. So I thought they might cast me as a lead, but I'm normally the best mate. I'm the scatty friend that gets up to no good or in a mental asylum or something like that, or a crackhead most of the time. So I didn't have to act. No, I'm joking. So I just thought, I'll write something where I get to be the lead. I get to be this sort of victim that's in that world. I just give myself a shot. Quite selfish, isn't it, really? So that's what I did. And it cost, in the end, I thought I've got $5,000 budget. Cost me 54,000 in the end. We shot it. It took about a year to shoot because I had to go and do a real job for a few weeks, earn a bit more money, shoot another 2 days, then go a real work for a few weeks, doing a bit of landscape gardening to pay for it. And it just took a long, long time. It took about in 2 years from start to finish. We managed to get it made and we premiered it at the Southend Film Festival. And it was the fastest selling film they've ever had. Nice. They had sellout crowds. People were standing in the back. It was an electric atmosphere. And that was such an achievement to see a film. And it weren't the best film in the world. I probably overcomplicated it with two different worlds running parallel and then their worlds collide. And I just tried to be quite sophisticated with my writing. But it was great because we had loads of explosions and I called in all my favours. Yeah. So we had all types of guns and stabbings and the police and the council were backing us. So it was mental, to be honest, to suddenly have all these armourers on set and stunt teams. And we had people getting thrown off of balconies like 50 feet up in the air. Jesus. So trying to work out the logistics to do all these different stunts and stuff was amazing. Yeah.
So you produced it as well, did you?
I produced that as well, I was quite a control freak then. Yeah. So I did almost everything in that because at that point, I was quite new to filmmaking. Yeah. I didn't start and do short films. I went straight in with a feature.
Well, that's baptism of fire, man. Yeah.
Like, it was. But my brother's a DOP.
Yeah.
And he was still quite new. So I thought he was studying at Westminster. So I thought I'll get in 2 DOPs, or 1 DOP that could be the boss. Yeah. And then I'd have my brother as a camera assistant to him. So we had 2 cameras shooting. But my brother then got to learn a lot from the DOP. So I was blagging it. I didn't really know what I was doing. And obviously as the shoot went on, I learned more. And it was probably the best achievement for me was Abusing Protocol because the blood, sweat and tears that went into that, the money and the 170 days in the edit with the editor. I mean, I love the editor, but not that much. After about day 100, I wanted to wring his neck. But no, he's a good guy, Oliver Turner. He teaches. But no, we had an amazing turnout, a great response. The film did well, but I didn't really do anything with it. Yeah. Because it was shot on DSLRs, just a few little Canons. At the time, that's all we could afford. Yeah. Obviously, now we shoot on Alexas and on whatever, different Arri cameras. So I was not embarrassed, but I think because visually it could have been, it could look, I mean, the shots were great. The cinematography was on point. The acting was great. Dialogue, maybe waffled on a bit with the dialogue at times, and there was a couple of sound issues on the odd scenes, but because of them minor faults, I was too embarrassed to get distribution. Yeah. Really? So I never really pushed for it.
So is it anywhere? Can anyone watch it now anywhere? Or
it's not online. I can send you a link.
Send me a link. I want to see
I'll send you the link. It's worth a watch. There's a lot of violence, a lot of fun.
I totally admire the doing it, and I think actually, I wish I was brave enough to like step back and go, we should do this, because we talk about it all the time, don't we? We say we need to do something.
You've just got to push yourself.
And we just don't do it. You're like,
it's having the audacity to get in debt.
Yeah, because
that's what you're basically doing. Yeah. You've just got to have enough people around you to get excited with you. Yeah, and then go, do you know what? Let's just do it. Yeah. It takes over your life. It's all right if you've got the equipment.
Yeah, we're all right because we've got stuff we've got all the equipment, so that's the cost gone. It's going to be the locations and the actors and stuff. Because again, you don't want to then not pay people.
Well, that's the thing. There's this big stigma at the moment about everyone should get paid to do their job. Mm-hmm. But what they got to understand is, for an actor, at the beginning of your career, it's about getting experience and credits and showreel footage. And then that showreel footage, once you've made a little showreel, gets you more work. So at the beginning, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, well, I didn't get paid for like 3 years for doing any film stuff. So
I've done so much unpaid work, but that mapped the start of my career. Yeah. And it was the cheekiness, having the audacity to get in people's films, even when they weren't looking to cast. I write to everyone. If I hear someone's making a film, I am blowing so much smoke up their ass, and I am going to be getting their details. You know, it's like Jeepers Creepers that I've just done. My partner said that they're advertising extras for some, it weren't called Jeepers Creepers, they kept the name under wrap. Some random thing like Not Going Out or something it was called. And I was like, well, I can't apply because I'm not an extra. And she said, but write to him, you never know. So that was my partner seeing an ad on Facebook. So I wrote to him about a year ago and just said, look, I know you're making something. My name's Darren Kent. I'm an actor doing this, that and the other. If there's any little roles, I'd like to audition. Next minute they said, hi, Darren. They knew me from a previous job. And then I ended up being one of their stars in Jeepers Creepers. I found out halfway through filming that it's actually Jeepers Creepers 4 that we're shooting. They failed to tell me that.
It's just in a film.
I didn't even realise. I didn't even know it was Jeepers Creepers.
Like, well, I recognise him.
Did it? Go to the cinema to watch a film. I'm like, I'm in this. How comes I'm in it?
I remember this bit.
Yeah.
That's me.
I've shot this. So sometimes you've just got to be cheeky. And I don't have any problem doing the odd unpaid gig. So I would recommend actors that are a little bit snobby and up themselves to, you know, be realistic. When there's so many actors out there and not enough jobs, you need to, you know, you need showreel footage. You need to use it as ammo. So just get your ass on set and
go for it.
Do, you know.
Yeah, and then so what do you love more then? Is it the acting or is it the producing? What's the love?
Always going to be acting. I'm a drama queen. I like to be in front of the camera. I'm always performing or doing something. So for me, I would always choose acting. But directing is very close. I've made a film about Irish travellers and an eviction, because obviously I was brought up in Wickford and with Dow Farm all over the news a few years back. I went to school with travellers, like in Wickford, that was quite common. So I wanted to, and I knew some of the families that were quite nice. So I wanted to make a film that didn't paint travellers as the stigma that we all think they are, because 90% of them can be pain in the arses, but there are some that ain't. They are human beings. They just, you know, have a different way of life. So I wanted to make a film that showed a normal family of travellers going through an eviction, being booted off land that they've called home. So I made this film with the intention on being one of the lead actors. But during the audition process, I realised I ain't the best man for the job here. Some of the auditionees were so much better than me. And an actor called Sonny Green was an amazing guy. He wanted to audition. And I was like, well, there ain't really a role for you. And the only role we could have played was my role. And I weren't giving it up. So I'm in a calf. And he went, I've always wanted to be a traveller. Like, I can do it. And I thought, you know, for a bit of fun. I said, we're in a calf full of builders. I said, all right, I'll give you a scenario. And you can stand up in this calf and give me your best traveller audition. And he had the balls, he'd done it. He stood up, he said, this is my land, right, this is my land. And he started doing it, and I thought, shit, he's better than me. And I thought, okay, and I just said, yeah, he did well. Even the builders give him a round of applause. And then a few days later, I just thought, I might have to do what's right for the project now and not be selfish for once. And I decided to step back, give him the role, and direct it instead. So sometimes you just got to do what's best for the project. Obviously abusing protocol, I was cheeky, but I've learned from that. So now I will happily step down, but if I can't act, I am going to be directing. There's no way I would give up both. Even if there's a better director and a better actor, I'm doing one of them. There's no way I'm going to spend money.
You've got to be selfish, I think.
You've got to at some point, but at the same time, you've got to do what's right, because you've got to sell the film. And that's obviously another big...
bigger man than I probably wouldn't have given him that. I would have written you a role. Written you a role.
It's right next to character.
Where did you go from there then?
What, from Meadow Lane?
Yeah.
Well, from there, I mean, I make a lot of short films now because they're easier to throw in the festivals and they're cheaper to make. But with every project, I will use that as ammo to get the next project on its feet. So I've made quite a few short films now. Today, I'm now making a mini-series, which is like a comedy mini-series. for a Stephen Murphy. He's quite a good filmmaker. So that's what I tend to do. I'll be honest, if there's a networking event, a screening, a festival, and I'm available, I'm turning up. Yeah. Whether I've been invited or not, they don't know it yet. Yeah. But if there's an event, I'm getting myself on that list just so that I can then push for the next week's work that could come out of it. You know, so I'm always looking to promote myself and to get further in my career. Yeah. I do it because I love my job. It's never been about the money. It's always been about performing. Yeah. You know, and if it's not in front of the camera, then I would rather be on set behind the camera than at home. Yeah. No, I'm joking. Then at home twiddling my thumbs, you know. Yeah. No, my missus is amazing. Just in case she's listening. Just in case you're listening, as a disclaimer, I'm happy in my life now.
What was Game of Thrones like? Yeah. I guess it's a small part, but it was like...
It's quite an iconic moment in the books from what I heard. I'll be honest, I got the role. And my agent went, "Oh my God, Darren, you got Game of Thrones?" And I'm like, "That's amazing, but I've never seen it." It didn't mean nothing to me. My brothers and everyone was going crazy. So I thought, okay, well, I'll watch season 1 just so I know who I'm working with, what it's about. Then half of them gets killed in season 1. So I'm thinking, am I working with any of these? And obviously I'm in season 4. Yeah. But it was on another level, if I'm being honest. I mean, most sets you go on, 3 of the walls are set, the other walls where all the equipment is. Yeah. Well, Game of Thrones is almost like 4-dimensional. It was... You could never see equipment. It was always hidden. Everywhere you look was set. Yeah. So there's fire everywhere, and there was the crew were hidden. Yeah. Like there was in secret tunnels or something. And I shot that in the Belfast studios, the Titanic studios. It's funny because they shoot in, I think it's Valencia, Croatia, and Ireland. They always send me to the coldest countries. I'm never going to Barbados. I mean, all right, Blood Drive was in Cape Town. That was my one time I got to spend in it. Stunning. In one. Yeah, it won't happen again. But I tend to spend a lot of time in Belfast. I've done quite a few things over there now, but it was amazing. The Titanic Studios is wicked. The guys on Game of Thrones were so nice. Emilia Clarke was a legend. She was so lovable and really warm, which helps. There's nothing worse when you mix with some A-listers or whatever and they're really cold towards you. That just really puts you off. And when you're quite new in your career, you don't want to see that, you know. Yeah. It's normally the ones that ain't quite there that are a little bit divish.
Yeah, we won't ask you that who they are.
I can easily name a few that I hate. But I'll save that for in a minute.
It's not getting in trouble, just in case you need to work with them again.
But in Game of Thrones, there was none of them. Yeah. Natalie Emmanuel, who's a local girl, she is a blessing. Yeah. I love her to bits. She's a good friend now as well. She met me on the plane from Southend when we were flying over there, and I didn't know who she was. I thought she looks like the girl from Hollyoaks, and it obviously was her. I didn't know. And they sat me near her, and she was the opposite me in the aisle. And then she pulled out her Game of Thrones script. So that's when I knew that she's potentially one of the actors. Yeah. And they obviously hadn't killed her. Yeah. So I knew that she might be in my scenes. And then, I realised it was actually her that I spoke to in my scenes in Game of Thrones. But all of them were so welcoming.
That's crazy, though, when you think about there's 2 people from, like, Southend in the same scene in Game of Thrones.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But Essex does seem to produce a lot of talent, it seems.
I think like you've been saying, and I think we get it, it's that there's a lot of grafters.
Yeah.
Everyone like knows that you've got to put the hard work in.
You've got to,
Nothing's really been handed to anyone in Essex.
It never does.
No. And if it has been, it gets taken away really quickly.
Yeah. Well, they're quick to put you on that platform, aren't they? But it takes one wrong selfie that can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's why you never take selfies.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bit of a social media king. I'm a nightmare. I am a nightmare for it. I used to do a lot of Facebook Lives. Yeah. But it was normally when I was with my best mate on a football day. Yeah. And I used to like a drink before a Southend game. Yeah. So we would be singing and chanting Southend songs, and then it would be Jaeger bombs. And then I'd realise my agent would call me the next morning and say,
"Take it down."
To take them videos down. I'm like, I only did 1. So Darren, there's 4. It's there. I only did the one before the game. What about half time? Oh, I do half. And what about after the game? What about the one in the evening when you went back to the pub? Oh. And then I realised I'm singing and dancing, shirts off. So I was like, okay, I need to stop drinking.
To be worried.
Yeah, I don't drink now.
I guess it's your career, isn't it? When it's like, it's different when you're behind the camera because it doesn't really matter as much, does it?
Well, I'm not one for swearing and stuff. And I don't normally have a political view. I mean, I do.
Yeah, but it's not
I'll
out
never post it.
Yeah.
You know, my views on Brexit and wearing masks and COVID.
Yeah.
Because all of that is what divides people.
Yeah.
And upsets some people. Yeah. So I tend to just try and keep it work-related, family-related, and behave myself.
Yeah. It's always best not to say anything political.
No.
Well, that's why I avoid Jaeger bombs now. Yeah. Because then
At Southend as well.
I know, it's difficult. It's a difficult one, but I don't do Southend football stadium no more. And I don't go down to the pub anymore.
All right.
Yeah. It's
What made you stop going to football? Just
I just,
they're dog shit.
Exactly. No, I was good friends with Steve Tilson, the ex-manager.
Yeah.
And then obviously he left and did some other bits, but I carried on watching them. Then they just seemed to get worse and worse. And then I moved. I used to live right near the stadium, 5-minute walk. So my local was the Spread on the Blue Ball next to, so I could walk there in 5 minutes. Yeah. So in between work, that's what I did. But then I moved to Canby Island.
Oh, yeah.
Sunny Canby Island.
Our last guest, not the last guest, our last was from Canby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I've never had any need to go on Canby. Sounds so exotic, doesn't it? Canby Island.
But there's some bits of Canby that are just so like cinematic that you don't get them anywhere because everything's been like cleaned up and fixed. But there's like the Star Cinema.
I love it.
Yeah, there's
the cinema is like £2.50.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The car park is 30p.
Yeah,
like,
and then there's
ridiculous.
The amusement park, which is like £5 or something.
It is like going back
cheap.
in time, isn't it?
It is. They're stuck in like a little time warp, aren't they?
I hope it doesn't change because it's nice to know it's still there. But I remember at school, everyone was saying, "Canby Island's sinking." It's still not. It's not sunk yet, but apparently it's sinking.
They said in 50 years it'll be underwater.
Yeah.
But then they built that
they
foot
built
wall all the way around, and that's going to save us.
Nice.
Apparently, but I've got a very big dinghy in the summers, so should I need it, I can sail back to Westcliff.
So what's the next? What's next? What's the next big thing you're going to be doing?
So I'm doing this mini series called Happy Hours, which is a 6-part series. So I am directing that, and I've got a little cameo. Thought it'd be rude not to.
Why not?
So I've slipped that in. Yeah, the right, I don't know yet. No. so I'm doing that, which is wicked. We're planning a feature with Arc Indie Productions. So they're an amazing film and production company, and Dan Keeble's their DOP. So he's done a few short films for me. They're doing the festivals as we speak and doing quite well. So they're planning their next feature. So I'm going to hopefully collaborate with them. Other than that, I'm doing my own pilot. Yeah. So I've written a 3-part series based on my most ever favourite stage show that I did. It was called A Child of the Jago, and it's based on real people from 1890, so Victorian London. Yeah. And it's a really dark Oliver Twist. So it's pickpockets, prostitution, and poverty, basically, in Shoreditch High Street, which was a real time, just before Jack the Ripper. And I love time period stuff. Yeah. I love London, very patriotic, and being obviously a Cockney, it just would be nice to be able to play my own accent once. Getting sick of the American accent, to be honest. So that's what I'm getting up on its feet. Nice. So I'm at the moment doing a pitch deck, and I'm nearly ready to approach investors to hopefully get a nice big chunk of money so I can make it. Very nice. This isn't something you can sort of cut corners and do cheap. Yeah. When it's obviously, you've got all these history buds that are going to be watching the fine detail.
And you've got to compare the comparisons, like you look at Peaky Blinders, how amazing that looks.
Exactly. So it needs to look right, the art department, the set design, as well as the costumes. I couldn't have picked a project that's going to cost any more money if I tried.
There's no elements from today you can use. You can't use anything.
You'd have thought, with all my experience, been in the business nearly 20 years, and I haven't learnt a thing.
Yeah, you could get set in Canvey in 2020 is what you should have done.
So, I mean, even the location, it's not something you can shoot locally. There is nowhere with cobbled streets.
Is that the challenge that is, that makes it appealing to you, is it?
It does. I would rather pick a project less of a challenge.
Oh, fair enough.
Because it's not just obviously the location, but the dialogue. I mean, this is some of the best writing I think I've done, because it's very Nancy and Oliver. It's very Old English language, which I seem to have just bought into quite well, which is why I love it. But it's very dark as well, which I love them sort of dramas. But the difference with this, because most time periods in this sort of era, like your Whitechapel, your Ripper Streets, they're always focused around a detective solving a crime.
Yeah.
And it's always that same Houdini and Doyle, Sherlock Holmes, that sort of vibe. I want it to be more based on the families living in that poverty-stricken world and how they grow, and we follow that family throughout a series. So that's why I loved the stage version that we did. So there was a book called The Child of the Jago by Arthur Morrison, and it was based on Old Nickel Street, which is the Jago.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with the theatre show we did, that my drama school decided to write for us, that we put on, took to the Edinburgh Film Festival, and it done really well. So I always said that one day I'm turning this into a film. But then it just feels like it should be more than a film.
Yeah.
And we've
way more out of a series now.
I think so, and I think it's changed the last few years. It used to be film dominated, but now I think because of COVID and people having more time at home, they want to binge.
Yeah.
And series seem to take off more. And after reading the books and analysing the books in great detail, there's so much more of the story to tell, and you can't tell it all in just an hour and a half.
You got with a series, you've got 6+ hours, because you can do series 2, whatever, 8 hours even if you want.
I mean, it's harder to get it up on its feet, but luckily I've got contacts and I can get a meeting. I've worked my way up now to get meetings and get in the door. It's just whether or not they buy into this world. But the characters are great. We've got attached names already. We've got letters of intent, which are obviously added to our pitch deck. So we've got enough ammo. It's just whether or not.
Oh, mate, I think you're going to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the world needs a bit of
I think
prostitution, pickpockets,
and not having a Brummy accent in it, or
exactly,
or a detective, which is
it'll be nice. It'll be something different. So hopefully, that'll be the next big thing.
Yeah, I think they do. They just shot a thing. It was meant to be based in East London. They did it all in Liverpool because that's where everything is.
It's funny because we did Houdini and Doyle, which was again based in sort of early 1900s, and that was shot in Liverpool and Manchester because they have the old cobbled streets, the old buildings, and they can sort of make it look half authentic.
Yeah, it already looks like it's back in the 1900s up there.
Yeah, which is probably where we'll end up. Filming Jago Row if we do get the funding that we require, because it can't be anywhere really down in Essex or London.
It's gone now. Everything's been gentrified and modernised, and there's nothing. I don't think there's even it's probably like one cobbled street left in Southend.
Old Town.
Yeah, in Old Lee. You'd have to do the whole thing in Lee.
Yeah, exactly. And even a studio, it's not something you can really build unless you're at somewhere like Pinewood.
A lot more money.
Yeah, it costs a fortune. But so if you've got any money you want to put into it, do let me know.
Send us the pitch deck. Well,
sure
we can.
So you should.
We sold all our stuff, and now we are.
Yeah,
we're just watching it being made around us. No, it sounds exciting, and fair play to for you to finding something finding the next project, not waiting for it to land in your lap.
Yeah, I never do, to be honest. I mean, obviously the things that pay the bills are what my agent gets me. They're the bigger jobs. Obviously, I do make my own work with producing and bits and bobs, but I just think if you've got a script or you've got people that can write scripts, I would say just be brave, grab their scripts, grab some crew, grab someone who can obviously knows what they're doing, get you good sound, good lighting, and get what you need, and just take a risk. Give a few days for free, do what you got to do. Get on a film set and make something, because it is the best feeling when you're in a cinema or at a screening and you get to see it on the big screen. because you did that and it took a lot of work. But
That's
it does take a lot
inspirational.
of balls to obviously do it.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from. I'm sure I drive my missus mad. And I'm forever saying, I'm making a new project. And first thing she says is, how much is it going to cost us? Because most of the time I fund my own stuff.
Yeah.
Meadow Lane cost me 14 grand. Into Mines cost me another 8 grand. So I'm always getting in debt.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be rich. Because as soon as I make a bit of money, I make a movie. It goes straight on the kids. And I don't believe we should give it to our kids. Because they're selfish. Just like my missus. No, the kids are great, but it's nice. I don't want for much. I don't go out and buy myself extravagant stuff. I don't have a flash car. I've got kids. So most of the money goes on the house or on the kids.
Yeah.
So every now and then I'll get a bit brave and say, do you want to fund a movie? I have to tiptoe around the missus when I'm asking. And she'll normally say, okay, have you got everything ready?
Yeah.
And I normally put on this massive display.
Yeah, you pitch it to her.
And she normally tells me I'm either an idiot or go for it.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's the latter, thank God.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the only other thing is you can spend it on, like watches and holidays and stuff. And like stuff that you can buy when you're older when you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go on holiday. It's been a while since I've been away. But because with my job, I get to travel. And I was in Ireland last year. And because of that opportunity, I feel like I get them breaks. Although I'm away working, it feels like an holiday.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a hotel, I'm doing 14-hour days, and I'm knackered, and normally quite ill doing night shoots. Yeah. But it still feels like I've had that opportunity to go to an airport, so I don't want to get the kids away. But because of COVID and everything else, we're just letting everyone else be guinea pigs right now.
Yeah, and then you get in there afterwards.
And then, when I know it's safe.
Everyone's got it or had it, and then you can go
exactly.
away.
And then we can blag it and get an holiday. But no, I tend to go to Comic Cons and stuff like that with the family as our little days out and treats.
How is that when you go to Comic Con now? Is that kind of people come running up to you and go?
It can be quite crazy. I mean, last week weren't too bad. It was an anime Comic Con.
Yeah.
Right.
My daughter's right into anime, which I don't really watch Japanese cartoons. It's not really my thing. But she's obsessed. Some of the voice actors were there. Yeah. So it was full of loads of kids in cosplay. So it was an amazing experience. It was good to be there, but no one knew me, which was fabulous. Yeah. And it was just nice to just be there and be soaked up in that world for my daughter's sake, really. But when I did the London Comic Con, that was obviously a different kettle of fish. I was getting flocked. Obviously, there was a lot of Blood Drive fans there and Game of Thrones fans. So although I was there with Mike Edmonds, I was sort of his chaperone that day. Yeah. I've been a guest at a few. But on that particular day, I was with the Star Wars guys. And as I was with Mike Edmonds, wandering around with him, and I was getting flocked. And then the staff said, we don't know who you are, what's going on? So I explained to them, and they said, well, can you stop having photos and signing stuff? I said, well, unless you're going to get me a stall and pay me, and you can earn money that way, I'm not out to charge people. Yeah. And, I'm there as... If people come up to me, it's quite nice to be recognised. Yeah. It's nice that they, appreciate your work. Yeah. So unless I'm there as a guest and it's all above board and there's contracts, I ain't bothered. I'll have photos with anyone. Yeah. So I was winding the staff up, having photos and giving out free signatures.
I think it's disgusting what they're charging for.
It's a lot of money.
Those things.
Photo ops and it's and when you've got 5 or 6 stars you want to meet. Yeah. And you're thinking, that's going to cost nearly 200 quid. Yeah. And the anime Comic Con for my daughter, that cost a fortune, for staying in an hotel and all that stuff.
That's
and
why you ain't going
food.
on holiday. Yeah.
And it was in Mayfair, of all the places.
Well,
that is expensive.
Exactly. It's just, they do rip you off a bit. Yeah. But it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah. What experience, though.
It's great. It's great. And it's nice to meet the fans. Yeah. Especially, as you say, the cult following that Blood Drive has. I mean, the show itself is nuts. So you can only imagine what the fans are going to be like. But I love seeing cosplay blood drivers, or bleeders, I think is the actual term that they like to call themselves. Because, I mean, Slink, the main baddie in Blood Drive, he's got this massive top hat, feathers on his coat, and he just looks incredible. He's like a glorified child snatcher from, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's just, the costumes are so quirky. Even my one, I had these big goggles on this massive, almost Chitty Chitty Bang Bang hat with these big overalls, because I'm a mechanic, covered in blood. Just like where obviously I've just seen someone get splattered. And it's just lovely to see when other people dress up as you, because that's when you think the character's done quite well.
Yeah.
Like if they want to dress up as you, that's when you think, yes. And it's nice to see.
What's that? The other one you done recently, EastEnders?
I did, yes.
How was that?
Anyone would tell you, before I even went to drama school, my dream,
Was it?
as sad as it is, was to be on EastEnders. And then my mum and dad emigrated to Cyprus for 10 years, and the only channel they could get was BBC One. So I thought I need to go on EastEnders. So then my mum and dad can see me every day, and it didn't happen. And then I directed a series for the BBC called The Break. And then even when I was at the BBC for a few months, I kept going to the EastEnders room, taking a little selfie, going in my Instagram post. Who knows, one day, just checking out my next job, and it was all just a bit of banter.
Yeah.
And then it was weird, because a year to the date that I took that photo was my first day on set of Wolford. And it was just crazy. Came up on my memories.
Yeah.
And it was just, I feel so sad, but it was such a big moment for me. Although the role wasn't massive, it could be reoccurring. Yeah. They said that we just want to give you a debut, we just want to introduce you as a character, and then we'll let the story unfold. I don't know if you watch EastEnders.
No, I've not watched it
Not
in
for
years.
a long time.
Me neither,
16.
unfortunately.
Well, it started. So EastEnders started. I think it started on my birthday.
Did it?
The day I was born, EastEnders
Really?
started. Yeah.
Well, there's a big storyline at the moment with a geese called Gray, who's going around murdering everyone. There's like a serial killer thing going on, and I'm very much involved in his storyline.
All right. Oh.
I'm about to reveal one of the bodies in the Argy Bargy. So that's why it was quite a good little storyline to be
It's
brought
quite
into.
interesting, isn't it?
But it was, amazing being on set. Loved having my photo by the Albert Square sign.
Yeah.
And obviously going in the Queen Vic and all that stuff. And the cast was so lovely. They were so warm and welcoming.
I don't even know who's in it anymore.
Well,
I
they
take it
brought-
Grant's not in it anymore.
Then?
No, I'm afraid that was...
Ben,
Blimey,
Den
that's
in it?
going... He died years ago. Grant Mitchell left
Yeah.
years ago. You've
I
got...
think Phil Mitchell was probably still in it. Right?
He's still in it.
Yeah, of course he is.
Janine Butcher came back.
Janine's back.
Janine came back.
I remember she threw Barry off the cliff, didn't she, or something?
That's it, down the cliff.
Poor Barry.
And then you got Cat Slater and all the
Yeah,
Slaters
they're
still
still
in
there.
it.
Still in.
So I met that lot. They're all lovely, to be honest.
That's
So
amazing.
that was wicked.
I was going to ask you actually, what's the dream role? What's the where do you want to go? What's the one, like, is it a franchise or is something? Is there somewhere you want to be?
I mean, obviously, to be a lead in EastEnders, to be a regular would be like the dream come true. That would be a massive tick for me. And I still have a lot of hope that will happen. And I'm certainly closer now than I was. But in the reality, I guess, getting my Jago Row, my Victorian London show made would be massive for me, because that I'm as passionate about that as I am Only Fools and Horses. Yeah. So that for me would be the biggest thing. But just to be in another series like Blood Drive as a series lead or anything as a lead is, and then you get a season renewed, that's when you know you're going to do well. Yeah. But the biggest thing at the moment seems to be Netflix. Yeah. Everyone is obsessed with Netflix, and Netflix can catapult your career.
Oh, yeah.
So, one show, you could be an unknown actor. You get in one show on Netflix that trends, suddenly you're the next big thing. That Bridgerton, that American time period, that was a small thing. They had money, but not loads. It weren't like The Crown or Downton Abbey.
Yeah. That's right.
And then suddenly, that's now become massive.
Yeah, our friend Ryan, he was on a gaffers on that.
Really? Really?
Yeah, he's from Southend.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, it takes one show
Yeah.
to change your life.
But yeah, I've not seen it, but yeah, it did blow up, didn't it? I think Netflix is the one. I'm sure you want to be in a Marvel film as well, right?
I would love to, of course. Of course. I mean,
There's so many characters. There's definitely a chance.
oh, mate.
Yeah.
I'm a prosthetic guy's dream.
Yeah.
Because I've got a really skinny frame, unusual features, they can do a lot with me.
Yeah.
And I nearly played Gollum in The Hobbit, in the West End version.
Oh, right.
So it was a stage version, and I remember the auditions. It was one of the hardest auditions, because with Gollum you got to be very physical and on your feet. And I was about 10 years ago, so I had a lot more energy about me then. But I'm like a real life Gollum. I've got a really skinny body and really skinny features, so there'll be no prosthetics or anything needed. But in that particular production, they wanted on some days me to be Gollum, and on the alternative days they wanted me to be Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, okay.
I weren't a great Bilbo, but I was a really good Gollum.
Yeah.
Like with the voice and the structure and the physicality. But I'm glad I didn't get it. I was in the last two.
Yeah.
It went with someone else. The show ended up being a flop, so I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Oh, you got out, yeah.
But I did go and watch it, and it was this big pyramid on stage, and Gollum was running up and down it, and I was looking, thinking, I'm knackered, just watching him. So I was thinking, gutted, watching him. I was just thinking, I'm so glad that isn't me right now.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah, massively. But yeah, for me, there's so many roles I would love to play, but just to be constantly working, and to be in a regular series that gets renewed would be the ultimate dream for me. It's not really down to a certain character. Yeah. Obviously, I'm always playing victims or crackheads. I don't know what they're trying to tell me. I think they think I look like a crackhead. But I like to play roles that stretch me. I don't want to be the boy next door. I don't want to be just a basic lover or a boyfriend. I want to be the guy that's buzzing on some drugs that he shouldn't have took, or the one that's involved in a fight sequence or being bullied. I like the roles that have a bit of meat behind them, or where there's a disability or a special needs. I'd rather play a character with Tourette's or something like that than be your basic generalised character. They're more fun. They're the ones that get remembered, and they're the ones where if you get it right, you're considered amazing. Because you can't show off when you're just a lover and all them. I wouldn't want to be a really good-looking geezer.
You might as well be an extra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just a bit boring, them roles. So I'm glad I look different. I'm glad I'm getting all them roles that no one else can really play, because it opens doors for me. That's the main thing.
No, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I just love the hard work, the graft, and the just doing your own thing rather than waiting for someone to go.
I just think you have to.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most actors that I know, they just rely on their agents. I say to them, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I've got an agent. What do you mean, what am I doing? I don't need to do anything. I went, but you do. Your agent can only get you so many. Even if you've got the best agent in the world, there is so many other opportunities of getting work. That's why I go and turn up to as many events as possible. Because if they're making a film, they're going to be my best friend that night. And they are going home with one of my business cards. Yeah. And I'm going to message them and tell them how wonderful it was to be in their company. Even if they were the biggest dicks. It doesn't matter, I just think sometimes it's about networking. And you make your own luck in this world. Yeah. You never know what hand you're going to get dealt next. So I think you need to just grab life by the balls and just ride it. Because, I've had so many medical problems, especially the last couple of years, that I've had to sort of battle with. So I've realised that life is so short. And at any point, your career can be ended. So I'm just making sure I say yes to as many things as I can while I still can. Yeah. Because you just don't know when the missus is going to spend all the money.
You make a film that doesn't work out.
All that. Which is probably more
likely. Yeah, she's probably worried about you spending all the money.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, sounds exactly right.
Nice one. Well, thank you for doing this. Thanks. I really appreciate you coming in.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, amazing to hear your story.
Yeah.
Thanks ever so much for having me. It means a lot. And I wish you guys all the best. And no doubt, at some point, I'll be dragging you boys on set.
100% we'll do it. Do you want to give out, is you're a social media whore? Do you want to give out all your social media stuff?
Yeah, so my handles on Instagram and Twitter are Darren Paul Kent. And on Facebook, I have an acting page, which is Darren Kent Actor. And I would obviously love it for everyone to jump on board, give us a follow. And obviously, if you want to send any messages or you got any questions or need any advice, I'm, unlike most actors, don't charge. And I'm more than happy help the underdog or help anyone that's up and coming and wants a little leg up on the ladder.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Honestly, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.